Okay, first photo, LCB to Toy, 5-star, Lost, Gold Award.
Oh, Elsabe, well done. I absolutely love this image. It's just super. It's just the most ideal image for contemporary because it gets you thinking, and there's so much in here. It's so moody. And I think because I actually gave it a 5, and I think what sold it for me was that beautiful big fat hole in the middle of the model's abdomen, and that is just so. She's not only lost part of her body, but there's like a gap, there's a hole, maybe in her life, maybe in, who knows, maybe COVID has given her this idea, but it is really lovely. And Elsie, you must enter this in a salon, in the contemporary artistic, because this is the kind of image that will do really, really well. Well done.
Karine Behrens, 5-star, Flowers in Harmony, Gold Award.
Narissa, are you going to go or shall I?
I will. A lovely image, Karine. You've done really, really well here. I love the soft colors that they are in this image. And it's sharp where it needs to be, so your attention is attracted to the center of the flower. The only advice that I could probably give you is, I know that the little yellow spots that you have kind of like running diagonally across this image, kind of has the yellow color repeated in it, but it just tends to take your eye away. So maybe either a little bit more subtle or just completely remove it.
5-star, Born to Ride, Silver.
Yeah, I enjoyed this image. I must say it's got a lot of appeal to it. It's a great composition. I like the receding faces that are just sort of juxtaposed behind the foreground character. And the one on the back at the right as well just kind of adds a little bit of mood to it. Why not a high mark? It's difficult to judge this kind of image and give sort of input to what the author was trying to achieve. But I find the expression on the rider that's in the foreground, it's a little bit dark around the eyes. And although that lends itself to a bit of a moody kind of shot, it also gives you a lack of contact. And possibly if one were to see a bit more emphasis and detail in the eye, it would give you something more to focus on. But well done otherwise.
Next category is monochrome. Fawn Behrens, Master Bronze, Misty Morning, Gold Award.
Fawn, I absolutely love this image. I love the different layers that you have managed to produce and find in this image. I love the fact that it starts from dark, which grounds a whole image, and as it recedes, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And that little tree that you've got there in the bottom left-hand corner is really, really great. It's so well placed. The composition is so good here because it's just anchoring. It's just giving you this place to rest your eye when you finally enjoy the whole image. So well done. I hope you've got a lot of these, and I'd love to see this in color as well. It must be absolutely superb in color. So I think if you've taken a lot, you've got some very good material here. Well done.
Master Bronze, Zebra Foursome, Silver.
Narissa? Is Narissa there? Ian? Akash, is Narissa still logged on?
I think she's disappeared. Yeah, I think she's not online.
Okay, Ian. So perhaps you can take her place, and then Narissa can put the next.
Unfortunately, that's my image.
Not to worry, I shall do it. Yes, this is a very pleasing image. I like the fact that you've got it's nicely grounded, where you've got the foreground, which is darker, and then you've got your zebras, and then you've got your light background. So why not a high mark? I'm not really too sure, but I think possibly the composition for starters. I think maybe if you'd zoomed in just a little bit closer and sort of had more detail in your zebras, and possibly only 3 of the zebras, and you could maybe eliminate it a little bit more of the foreground, because although it's got texture and all that, it's just a little bit monotonous. So if I would have zoomed in a little bit closer, less foreground, 3 of the zebras, more detail in them, and that possibly would have been a very, very striking image. So if you took this with your 850, you could go. So go and play with this image, Ian, and you've got good potential with this
one. 3-star zebra reflection, silver.
Yeah, I actually scored this a little bit higher than that. And I must say that for me, I thought it was a very good effort by a 3-star, one of the juniors. And I found it very pleasing in many respects. Nice conversion to black and white or to mono, and you've got good detail in your zebra. And also the reflection just gives it a little bit of sort of an additional bit of interest. The only thing that I would have preferred personally is a little bit more space for the zebra to look into. But you may have taken this picture in a portrait format and not had much more space. There is enough space for it. You haven't cut anything off, but a little bit more room for it to look into may be beneficial.
Narissa just WhatsApp me. They have a power outage in 20.
Poor Narissa. Oh, shame. Okay, Ian, you'll have to just put a little bit more. You and I will have to do it.
That's fine.
Master bronze, pelican, silver.
Okay. Well, I like this image. I love the conversion to mono. I find it a very, very striking image with the black background. To me, it really pops. I think the only reason why it didn't get a gold was your post-processing, whoever the author is, just could have been you could work harder on it. So I'd suggest you go back. If you go and look on the bird at the back, I think it was either on the back or on the wing, you left a whole lot out where you were darkening the background, and there's a section that you missed it. And unfortunately, it immediately attracts the eye and takes you to there. So work very, very carefully on the borders when you change your background or really darken the background to make sure you don't have gaps. Because this, and then I would denoise this image as well, a little bit in denoise, and then this is amazing. So just work again on your post-processing, and you can enter this in the salon.
Julie Eisenbach, 2-star, wild flowers, gold award.
Well done, Julie. Yeah, very great effort in your mono here. Initially, when I looked at it, I thought, oh, there's a little bit of a sort of very contrasty, very dark sections in the background. But when I took a step back, as it were, from the image and looked at it again, I actually found that that was quite interesting. It wasn't in any way unpleasant or anything like that. And in viewing the image as a whole, it actually works quite well. And you've done very well to achieve this as a 2-star. And it's the kind of thing that we'd encourage the juniors to have a go at. And don't be scared to try this kind of thing, because it can have very good results.
Next category is nature. Henry Opel, Master Silver. Forest Stream, Gold Award.
Oh, this is lovely, isn't it? It's nice to get a scape that's sort of different with waterfalls and rocks. I think what makes this scape so intriguing and so lovely is the incredible colors, the lovely detail in your foreground, the textures and the colors in these rocks. And then, of course, the slow shutter speed, which has made that water milky. And it's just a dreamy, beautiful photograph. And then you've got your lead in. You could have entered this and set subject in mono, but of course I prefer it in color. But I'm saying, look at the lovely S curve that we look for in tonight's set subject. Starting up there by the waterfall, you've got this incredible S that moves right through the picture. That makes the composition very, very strong. So this is what you must aim for, especially our juniors, as a teaching thing, to try and attract attention and lead the eye into your image. Nicely done, Henry.
2-star, Water Lilies, Silver.
Yeah, well done to the author. Again, a very interesting composition, and a great effort in trying something different. You know, everybody wants to take pictures of lions and leopards and eagles and birds flying around. And there's so many wonderful subjects and so much good subject matter if one is observant. And I think you've had a very good effort at this. And there are a lot of things about this image that I found quite appealing. I really like the shape of the water on the leaf on the left foreground. It's almost like a heart shape. And just amongst the overall composition, that kind of just adds some interest to it. And even a little bit of a repeat to some extent in that water in the back leaf. It's almost got a little bit of a heart shape as well. And I just have found that one needs to look at the image and see what can you appreciate instead of sometimes looking at what is negative. So well done, and keep up the work. It's very pleasing.
Next category is Nature, Wildlife. 5-star, Family Drama, Silver.
Well, I absolutely love the action in this image. I mean, spot on. Your timing is really, really fantastic, because you've got the one on its back, feet up in the air, and the other one reacting. Fantastic. So why not a high mark? I think possibly because the background, especially those weeds in the background and the very whites, are actually starting to compete with the birds. So you've got the birds and that, but your attention keeps on moving away to those weeds and that sort of thing. So you've either got to use a smaller edge stop so that you throw your background, you blur your background more, or you've got to check your exposure and try and step down at least 1 or 2 stops. And then you can always use your radial filter to bring out the birds. There's so many, or otherwise just work on the background with your dodge and burn so that you can actually darken those very bright lights. And dodging and burning could enhance its image quite a lot.
Master Silver, Gems Box, Silver.
Yes, another great image and well captured. And I really always like to see these animals. It's got its tail flicking, its head's turned back, it's interested in something, and the photographer has been fortunate enough to take this picture while that action is happening. So again, we ask, why not a higher mark? And it's a difficult one again, but there's a few things for me that I just found sort of throw this image off. Perhaps the positioning of this animal in the position where it's been cropped, first of all, and the angle that it's at, the angle of the head. I don't know how one would, maybe if there was enough room to leave a bit more space. And then also the light on the horn at the back. It's obviously got light coming from the side. And although the image is pleasing, it almost seems a little bit flat. The color in that is good. The contrast is good, but it's a difficult one to kind of look at. The background there is nicely diffused, but there's a lot of detail in it. And I think Kathy's mention of the aperture settings, you do blur your background if you use a larger aperture, a lower number. So if you could use f4 or f2.8, you would have no background competing with your subject.
Sandy Reinders, 1 star. Sunset Jacker, Gold Award.
Oh, well done, Sandy. Obviously, good lights. There's no harsh shadows. You've got your subject looking at you. So you've got this lovely connection between the viewer and your subject. You've got the face nice and sharp, pin sharp the eyes. And although you've got detail in the background, it's really nicely muted. So you've worked very, very well with your exposure and your f-stop. And you've made what could be just a very ordinary image of just a jackal lying down. You've ended up with a really super image because he's attentive, he's alert, there's communication, you've got good color, excellent exposure, and very good focus. Nicely done. Well done.
Master Bronze, My Family and I, Silver.
Yeah, a very nice image of this family of elephants with all of them kind of drinking in unison. It's almost like you got them at the perfect time as far as the main group is concerned. And then you've got the one that's looking towards you on the right-hand side of the image. A nice color. I've got nothing to say about the crop, maybe a bit more space on the right. But again, we have the background competing with the subject matter. And sometimes it's wonderful to have that depth of field where you can place the animals in their environment and know that this is where they're at, etc. But the white rocks in the background are almost intrusive in terms of looking at this image. And if one were to tone that down a bit, dodge and burn, use a brush tool and darken it slightly, it could improve. But otherwise, a great sighting and a great capture.
Ian Taylor, Master Bronze, Spear Fishing, Gold Award.
Oh, Ian, you and your birds. Lovely. The most striking thing about, besides the action, it's so beautiful to have this kingfisher with its catch, and you can see it's actually been pierced. The end of the beak is piercing the fish. But what makes this image really, really pop out is this amazing background. We've been talking about this muted background, and here we go. That is the absolute, this is what every wildlife and nature photographer strives for, is to end up with a background like this. And somehow you've done it, Ian. So there's two ways you can do it. It's either with the f-stop, which you have to have really good camera to do it, or remember, if your background is quite far away from your subject, you also get this effect. So try and look for subjects, and if you're going into a hide and focusing on a dead tree, or make sure that the background is far away from there. And when you have your background that's really removed from your subject, you also get this type of background. So a good lesson for everyone here. Well done, Ian. Nice one.
Kathy K, Master Gold. 2 lionesses at the waterhole. Gold award.
Kathy, this is a wonderful image. Another one of those probably taken at Zamanga, I would suppose. But what a nice sighting, what a wonderful opportunity that you've had to capture this image with both these lionesses looking at you. Both of them have stopped drinking. I don't know whether they kind of were suspicious that there was someone looking at them or whatever it was, but you've done really well. The fact that you've got that sort of triangular shape in your composition with the back of the right-hand lioness sticking up higher also makes the image stronger. It gives one a sense of drawing you into that section of the image. And I like the space on the right. I think often people are scared to leave open space, but I think it works very well with this image. If it was cropped tighter, it would still work, but I like the fact that it's got a bit more room. Just almost like there's another one that might come if you waited. But well done.
5-star. African alarm clock, silver.
Yes, I really like the exposure on your bird. I like the detail. It's pin sharp. You've got the eye pin sharp, beak pin sharp, and it's really lovely the way you've got it on that rock, which anchors it really, really nicely. And unfortunately, that wave that's breaking behind, which, I mean, it tells a story, I know, because now you realize, oh, this is in the sea or something. But because it's so white, it's actually drawing the attention away from the bird. You've actually got to force your eye back to the bird, but it just goes straight back to that wave again. So you have to try and tone down that wave a little bit, or otherwise the next shot where the wave is moved further and you don't have all that white. So if you've taken more shots, go and see if you can find one without the white, and it'll be a much stronger image. And then I'm afraid at this level, you must make sure that your horizon is straight. I admit I marked a down one because of the skew horizon. First thing you must look at is that horizon and make sure that you get it straight.
Joan Darcy, 3-star. Lion King at dusk, gold award.
Well done, Joan. Wonderful sighting. I love that backlighting. The fact that you managed to see this at sunset while the sun was going down and you were in a position to get that shot with the light shining through that fur, giving it that rim light, has just made this image very appealing. Again, previous comments, you could have possibly got a higher mark. You could have possibly lightened the face a little bit more around the eye, and certainly toned down a little bit in the foreground at the left, and also that white reflections on the water. You could have used a brush tool there or a radial filter and just darkened that slightly, and it would have made this image a bit stronger, but well done.
Tony K, 4-star. Target spotted, Gold Award.
Well, I can put it because I didn't judge it. For those of you who are not sure, if I recognize or know an image, I don't judge it. So the other two judges judged it. So yes, I can see why they gave it a gold. It's pin sharp. The exposure is very, very good. We've given the lion space, the sub-adult space to look into. It's intriguing. You know, he's spotted something. And the lighting is excellent. Coming from behind, it's caused this little bit of a rim light around your subject, which adds value. So nice image.
Andries Borman, Master Bronze. First Blood, Gold Award.
Well done, Andries. Great capture and well handled with your post-processing. This image stands on its own very, very strongly, despite the crop and despite many things, the detail, the exposure, all very well handled. Subject matter with that drop and that little curve with the water falling there, very well seen and well captured. And then your handling of the background, nicely muted. And the fact that it's got those horizontal lines also adds some kind of strength, if you want to call it that, to this image. Not distracting at all. It gives it a nice background, nice balance. So well done. Great capture.
Tremaine Finter, 5-star. Mama Mongoose, Gold Award.
Yes, you know, you don't often see a mongoose with its catch in its mouth. Like this looks like a worm or a caterpillar or something, and that's really quite nice. I mean, they're usually moving very, very fast. So I love this, and I love the sharpness of this mongoose, and the exposure is really, really spot on. So well done. A super image, and I really, really love the attention and the detail. If you want to enter it in a salon, I would recommend you crop this image slightly, and you remove those thorns on the right-hand side of the image and a little bit of the foreground, because then you will place the image better. It won't be quite so central. You'll place it more on the one side, give it more of a feeling of it looking further, and it will add more value to the story. It will just improve your composition substantially. So I would recommend you just try that and see what happens.
Sandy Reinders, 1-star. Young but fierce. Merit Award. 15 out of 15.
Well done, Sandy. Congratulations on your wonderful score, and also congratulations on your wonderful image. When you look at this, you almost think of some of the other great photographers that there are in the club. And Michelle jumps to mind because she seems to get these wonderful images of these birds in such great detail with such wonderful backgrounds. So you've taken a leaf out of her book there, and you've done really well. I enjoy this image, and as a 1-star, you've done extremely well. So the only comment that I would make is if you were able to give it slightly more space on the right-hand side, I think it would improve this image a little bit, but otherwise, very, very well done.
Master Bronze, Thirsty, Silver.
Yes, lovely to see three of these in a row. You don't often see, because hyenas are so all about, you don't often see that all three doing the same thing. So that's really lovely, all of them drinking, and I love the exposure on the hyenas themselves, very well handled. So why not a high mark? I think, first of all, what's happened is that the hyenas are a little bit lost inside this image. And that's for two reasons. Number one, your foreground water is really bright and it's drawing the eye away from it. Now, I understand why you did it, because you wanted that reflection of your hyenas. So you could maybe try and tone that white down if you want to keep it in. Then, of course, your background, because your f-stop, I think you had a very, I'm not sure, but I think if you had a higher, a lower f number, try and get down to 2.8 or f4 or something, the background wouldn't be quite so much in focus, because it's really nice to place your subjects in the background, but they're not really adding value to the story. So try and blur your background slightly and try and get rid of those very bright highlights in the front, and then your attention will go more to your main subjects, which are the hyenas.
Ian Taylor, Master Bronze, Shall We Dance, Gold Award.
Well, once again, Ian, I was mentioning it before. Oh, that background. It just it's just so amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. You found yourself the perfect spot for photography. I love the detail, your kingfisher with its prey, the colors, the sharpness, everything is fantastic. Well done. My recommendation when you enter this in the salon circuit, just remove some of that branch from the bottom. Just crop a little bit of it off. It's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit thick. It's competing with your bird because it's so big and your bird is so tiny and so beautiful. Just crop some out before you enter it in the salon and you'll get a fantastic mark for this image.
3-star, lone zebra in early morning light, silver.
Well, it's never easy to have a image of an animal that's moving away from you. But despite the fact that it's what we would call a bum shot, it's actually not a bad a capture. And there is a lot of merit to what you've seen there. And you do have a nice bit of lighting that's coming around the ear, and the light on the grass in front of the muzzle has made that stand out. However, there's two things that unfortunately let this down, apart from the fact that the background's a little bit busy, but the zebra does stand out enough from it in spite of that. And the two things are, first of all, that little shrub, that little thorn bush or whatever it is that's obscuring part of the legs. If you could have captured this just before or just after that, that would have improved the image. And then secondly, the very bright light at the top of the image. If that could have been toned down a bit, it would have also strengthened it. But keep trying. It's a good effort.
Tony K, 4-star, gentle touchdown, gold award.
Okay, well, I'll comment on this because Ian, this is just Ian and I, and as I said, I never judged it. Nice background, Johnny, that's what we're asking for, is that we can get a nice muted background. Nice detail in the bird, your whites aren't blown, you've got lots of detail in the darks, and you've got lovely action. What I like about this image is those beautiful curves of the wings. You could have considered entering this in the set subject in mono because you've got the most incredible curves. It adds lots of value to this image. Well done.
Tony K, 4-star, the king takes a walk, gold award.
Well done, Tony. I really liked this image when I saw this. Beautiful, diffused and muted background, lovely lighting. I love your composition. And I find those two rocks really just anchor this image so nicely. And there's nice space on the side where those rocks are that just kind of give this image a great grounding. And 3 items in an image always make for a good a kind of composition for a strong point. And those 2 rocks together with that line just work so well. You've got great sharpness and detail and great exposure. Well done.
The next category is pictorial. 5 star. I'm not scared because the Lord is with me. Silver.
Yes, I do like the action in this image. You've got the dust, you've got the feet off the ground, you've got the rider, which looks as if it's about to fall because it's and maybe they're stealing themselves, but it's telling such an amazing story. So I really love that. What I found wasn't too convincing was that blurred background, almost like panning, but you've got it on the left-hand side, but where you've got your banner, that is pin sharp. So I just don't know how this works. So if you did it afterwards in your post-processing, remember to continue it along where you've got your all of the background, or otherwise whatever. But there is sort of like an aberration above that banner. If you have a look, there's something that's going on above that banner that hasn't been nicely tidied up. And unfortunately, the eye keeps on going there, and the eye should be going to that rider and the action. So I think just go and re-look at your post-processing, work on this image again, because the action is outstanding, the potential is there. So get it right.
Master Silver. After the storm, Silver.
Sure. Well, when I looked at this image the first time, I thought, does it work or doesn't it? And I must be honest, I did give it a higher score, but the other judges have not agreed, and so be it. At first, I thought that this gold-colored log is just so dominating. But at the same time, it does kind of work. And I've seen this kind of image done where people have taken a wide-angle lens and gone very close in on a subject like this and focused on that log as the foreground. And then the background kind of works itself out. And there's such lovely detail in the clouds, and the sea is quite rough, and it does, like the title says, it depicts this image as a capture of the detail here after the storm. I was a bit confused about the birds as well, whether or not they were added afterwards or not. I didn't find it too distracting. And overall, I thought the image worked quite well. But yeah, the other judges haven't agreed with me, but that's fine. But a good effort.
Michelle Pearson, 5 star on short finals, Meritor.
Oh, Michelle, you just keep on producing these absolutely amazing images. Well done, Michelle. This is absolutely beautiful. You have got to give us a talk. It doesn't have to be a teaching thing, but you have to give us a talk one day what you are doing, because I'm intrigued, I'm fascinated, because you're entering them in the open section. So I understand you are probably photoshopping, but it is so perfectly done that I cannot work out what you have done. And that, fellow members, is what it gets you to the top. And that's why Michelle is fast becoming one of our top photographers, because she is meticulous, she takes care, she she's perfectionist, and she's ending up with the most incredible images. Michelle, well done. I love this image.
Andres Borman, Master Bronze, Kwai Bird, Gold Award.
Yeah, Andres, you get to master bronze, then a 13 is no longer a merit. So tough for that, but wonderful image. Great composition, great detail, great exposure. Yeah, you've done very well with this. Well, what is there to say? It speaks for itself. Lots of detail in those feathers. The only thing for me, and it might be on my monitor, it could possibly have a little bit of overall highlight reduction. But I don't think the whites are overexposed or blown. But that's just my personal taste. But excellent image, very well done.
And just to clarify, 13 is not a merit on any of the star levels, because it means 2 of the judges gave it a gold and only 1 gave it a merit.
Thanks for that, Akash.
No problem. Julie Eisenbach, 2-star, Cat, Gold Award.
Julie, I just love your cat photography. You're going to have to make a career of this. You should start advertising and start photographing people's cats, because you are really, really doing so well with it. What I love most about your images, and this one as well, is that you get down and dirty. You get down low. And that's one of the first things that we tell our members. Don't be scared to change your position. Don't be scared to get down onto your stomach. And you've done this. You are learning it at the beginning of your photographic career. You are learning, get down in your stomach and get this lower angle image. And it makes such a strong composition, because you've got these magnificent eyes. You've got the head pin sharp. It's lovely. It's really lovely, Julie. And just keep this sort of thing up, because I really enjoy your cat images. Well done.
Karine Behrens, 5-star, Color Burst, Gold Award.
Yes, well done, Karine. I must say, when I saw this image, I thought, wow, this is really, really strong. Great post-processing, great image. A lot of things that just work so well with this, that kind of all the lines that sort of going out from that center in different directions. Just, it's almost like sending you off into infinity, and yet you've got such great detail as well. If you look closely in the center, you can see the little like furry fibers on the green section, and also in between the purple of those leaves there. So you've combined in your post-processing great detail and also great colors, and it works very well. Well done.
Marissa Enslin, 5-star. You and I step away. Don't give up today. Gold Award.
I must admit, when I saw this image, I absolutely loved it, because what I love is I love the repetition. I love the fact that you've only got basically the 2 colors, that is your mixture of your browns and your blues. And then you've got this very, very, very clever idea of the soot that you've added it on. So this is a clever image, and I really like it. I love what you've done here. It's a kind of image that you could enter in the contemporary. It's a kind of image you could enter in wherever you've got the artistic idea. So this image you can play around with. You could even convert it to mono, and you could enter it as a mono. So this type of image is really strong, and play around a little bit more like this, please, Marissa, because we need material like this for our competitions. Well done.
Apologies, the title is actually You Are One Step Away, Don't Give Up Today. Master Silver, the launch, Silver Award.
Yeah, great image here capturing this boat being launched by these people. Wonderful little seascape, some gulls and these guys in this boat. The rocks, pelicans or whatever it is in the background, all very, very interesting. Nice subject. Why not a high mark? What is it that went wrong? When I looked at this originally, I just felt that it was a little bit too saturated. If you look at the color on the legs and the arms, that red seems to be just overdone, a little bit too much. And I think if that was toned down a little bit, the rest of the colors are not bad, but that red on the arms is what let it down for me, and I marked it down for that. But otherwise, a great image.
I don't normally like to interject, but may I please also add a comment here? Just for the author, because the potential of this image is outstanding. But if you look at that group of birds on the left-hand side, which has obviously been added in, the frame is still around that image where this frame has been added in. So you've got to be really, really careful that when you do something like that, you make sure that it blends in very, very well. So get rid of that little bit of frame around those 4 birds there, and just be careful of that. Tone down your saturation, because this is a super image. It's just your post-processing let you down a little bit. Sorry, Ian, I didn't mean to just interrupt.
No problem, Kathy. We appreciate it.
Michelle Pearson, 5-star, taking a bow, 15 out of 15, Merit Award.
Aren't I lucky? It's the second time I can crit Michelle's. So it's exactly the same as what I said before, but I actually think this is an even better image than the one before. This is with a medal in a salon. It is superb, outstanding, wonderful, lovely. I don't even know what else to say. Michelle, it's beautiful. Into this in a salon, here comes the medal. Well done.
Karine Behrens, 5-star, Orange, Gold Award.
Well done, Karine. Another great image from you, and I really like your flower image here as well. And it's very, very well done. I like the fact that you've got it coming in at an angle with a leading line with that stem and those curves on these little, I don't know what you'd call them, but each little part of that flower, the way they're all sort of curling around, gives it such an interesting kind of lead into the center of that flower. And when you look in there, it's quite bright in areas, but it's not overexposed. You've handled that very well. And I like the colors. They really pop. And yeah, you've just done so well with this again. So well done.
Jacques Selshop, Master Silver, On the Wing, Gold Award.
Yes, this is an interesting image, entered in Pictorial. So well done. Obviously, you've done some manipulation, and then we put the interest in the nature wildlife. And you've ended up with a very pleasing image. Your subject is nice and sharp, very well exposed, and the eye goes straight there. You've managed to mute your background. I really love the shadow underneath. It just shows that it's flying low. And that's what adds most value to this image. And well done.
Next category is photojournalism. 5-star, progress begins where your comfort zone ends. This image had a DQ from one of the judges. Well, I think all of the judges DQ this image.
Kathy, if I might ask you to take this image, because I think the next one might be yours.
Okay, super. Yes, so the reason why we disqualified this, because in photojournalism, they're terribly strict about it. You may not manipulate in photojournalism and in sport. So this is really a superb image, and you just entered it in the wrong category. It is quite obvious by the that there's a filter or something that's been used. You've changed your background. You've got this moving right down over the image, so you cannot enter this in a PJ. So I've discussed it with the judges, and we will give you the opportunity to re-enter this image if you like. You may enter this image under the Pictorial and see what happens. But unfortunately, it is not acceptable in the photojournalism. Sorry about that.
The next category is portrait. Kathy K, Master Gold. Cheetah from a low angle, Gold Award.
Right, you wouldn't have been able to speak on this one, Kathy. So, yeah, thank you for that. If I might just add, it's always a bit difficult as a judge when you see an image that doesn't fulfill the brief. You don't want to come across being harsh, but unfortunately, we have to assist in teaching people to be careful and to do things according to the rules. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed if you were to enter in a salon or anything like that. Anyway, to this image, well done, Kathy. As a portrait, really, really interesting, great capture. You've mentioned these lovely backgrounds which you've got. So tick box 1. Lovely, lovely detail on the eyes, which is the most important part. You can even see that fly next to the cheetah's right eye, and just such lovely detail. Your exposure levels and everything are so good. Well done. Great capture.
Michelle Pearson, 5-star. Looking Back, Gold Award.
I'm so sorry, I just realized I was muted. Michelle, well done. Lovely. The detail, love the fact the exposure on the whites is really good. The eyes are pinch sharp, beautifully lit. The lighting is absolutely outstanding. Lovely angle. You've done it again. Well done.
Next category is Scapes. Van Berens, Master Bronze, Colorful Sunrise, Gold Award.
Fine, I'm envious. Love this image. It's really, really nice. You've done very, very well to capture this. Such a lot of things that are so good about this image. The way that you're just drawn into the distance, the leading lines of the rocks, which is a strong lead in on the right, the foreground, the rocks strong lead in on the left. Then you've got those soft sort of curves of the waves off into the background, another nice curve on the left, and then the trees and that dune leading into that background as well. And then what just sort of cements it is that sort of pitchfork look on the top center with that cloud formation, which has got the repeat in the water in the foreground. It just draws you into this image. So much to look at and so much to enjoy. Great image. Well done.
Master Bronze, The Sentinel, Silver.
Yes, what I really like about this image is the complementary colors. You've got the beautiful yellows of the foreground, and then you've got the blues of the mountains behind, and that it's just so pleasing and so lovely. The only unfortunate thing about this is you have an exposure problem here. You've got those clouds there, you've got blown out areas on the clouds and above the mountains. And it's very distracting. And it's very, very unfortunate. I'm not sure how blown out they were. You would have to check your histogram. But there is a possibility you could rescue this. You could pull down a radial filter and see if you can pull back those highlights and get some detail in the clouds and that. It's really, really worth trying because the scene is super. It's just your post-processing or your initial, it's first your initial exposure when you actually took the image. Be very careful and check for blown highlights. Once you've taken your first image, you can always adjust your exposure and bring it down a couple of stops just to make sure that you get detail in those whites.
Next category is sport. Charmaine Fenter, 5-star, full gallop, gold award.
Well done, Charmaine. Yeah, lovely image of this horse. You've got it with the rider. It's off the ground, all four hooves off the ground, so great action. You can see it's moving at a bit of speed. It's kicking up some of the sand there and nicely isolated and separated from the background. And interesting with that little fence as a diagonal line running through the image, just giving it some interest to it as well. So great capture. Well done.
Fawn Behrens, Master Bronze, Rapids, gold award.
I love this image, Fawn. This is the kind of image that we look for in the sport category. You've got action. You've got this water that's just like boiling and troubled. So there is no doubt when you look at this image this is not an easy ride. It's not just in a lake. This is hard work. What really adds value to it is that you can so easily identify your participants. That is so important in sports photography. Both of them, you can identify them, wonderful expressions on their faces, pin sharp, the front and the back one, and very good detail. Nice one, Fawn.
Henry Opple, Master Silver, Red Tail Slide, gold award.
Gosh, Henry, that's a great capture. I must be honest, when I looked at this, I thought, wow, you've been very, very fortunate to capture this. Such a lot of detail. The bottom side of the board, all the writing is clear. The tattoo on the leg, the expression on the face, the angle that this guy's at. Really great surfing and really great surf photography. Obviously, high shutter speed. You've frozen the action. Your whites are very well handled. Well done.
Kathy K, Master Gold, with a twist and a turn, gold award.
Kathy, you also getting in on the surf photography, and well done. Also, you can see the use of a high shutter speed. You've frozen the action. You've got this guy balancing precariously. Almost looks like he's falling off. But I know when you're moving at the speed that they move at, the next movement he'll probably twist and turn, and he's getting ready for that. I really like the way you've managed to capture the breaking of that wave, the way his board's cut through it, because you've created a lovely almost frame around where his arm cuts through there around the back, up towards the back of the board. And it just adds some impact to this image. So well done.
Next category is the set subject. 5-star. A smile is proof curves are beautiful. Bronze award.
Yes, well, there's no doubt that the author did see the curves in this image. And I love the repetition of the curves. And you've also got these angles. You've also got the lines leading in. But regrettably, it's soft. There's nothing that's sharp about this image. So the eye just wanders. And I just felt when I looked at this image that if there'd been a sharpness somewhere, a focal point or something to rest the eye, it would have had so much value. But it's basically soft, it's out of focus, and it's very grainy. So try and sharpen it a bit, try and get rid of some of the grain, and perhaps you could work on this image.
Master bronze. Seascape in mono. Silver.
Yeah, a difficult one. The set subject curves. Have we got curves? Have we got lines? Yes, we do. So you've probably ticked that box. Why a low mark? What is it that's letting this image down? I initially, when I looked at this, I thought it was a very strong image, and I kind of enjoyed it. But the more I thought about it, the fact that this foreground rock is cut in half, it almost seems like a poor choice in terms of the composition. And I would have preferred to have either just seen the two sets of rocks. I know we've spoken about having 3 items that complement each other. But I think if you could have taken a step back, if it was possible, in terms of your crop, and included that rock as a separate entity that was standing alone, I think it would have just given this image that boost to have made it score a better mark.
Kathy K. Master Gold. Hoping for a baby fight. Mono. Gold award.
Well done, Kathy. I must say, when I saw this image, I was very, very interested with all those lines, especially where the 2 near side legs are almost touching each other. The lines that are coming down where the abdomen and the fore part of the I don't know what you would call it, the rear and the foreleg are sort of getting close to each other, and then that curve on the tail, those curves around the ears, and then the curve on the trunk, the curve in the leg. All of those are just adding to this image in terms of fulfilling the brief. And then your exposure, your conversion to mono, to black and white, you've done that very well. Well done. Great image.
Henry Opple, Master Silver. Galeria Station. Gold award.
Oh, this certainly fits a brief. I mean, you've got curve on curve on curve. You've got lines, you've got angles, it's just incredible. And they're all leading to that subject that's there on the left hand on the third. I don't know if he's buying a ticket or if it's an ATM or something or whatever it is, but it's just, the composition of this image is absolutely phenomenal, and I just love it. I love the repetition. I love the repetition in that roof. I love the repetition in the vertical lines. I love the repetition of these curves that are moving towards our set subject. You even got curves on the left-hand side, framing the subject and stopping the eye from moving out of the image. I think this image could easily score a merit if you possibly considered, Henry, just toning down some of those brights. There's quite a lot of quite white. I could understand it if it was street photography or PJ, but you may manipulate. And in mono, you can manipulate. And in open, you can manipulate. So I would just get rid of some of those bright whites because the eye is going to those whites instead of resting on that subject B in the third. That's just my personal opinion. I might be wrong, but as it goes, it's just a lovely image. Well done.
Sandy Rangers, 1 star. War and Peace, Merit Award.
Well done, Sandy. I must say, when I saw this image, I thought, wow, you've really fulfilled the brief. And as a 1 star, congratulations on doing a wonderful job with this image. Your exposure, your attention to detail, your composition, the use of the different items in your setting up this image. So interesting. And the texture in that background under that barbed wire and where that liquid is. I hope it's not blood. I'm sure you managed to find something that looks like blood, but yeah, you've done so well. Even the reflection in there and the use of that ribbon going across, which I think you're using to symbolize peace, just sort of gives you something to think about. So it's a really well thought out image, and it's something that I think you would find might do very well in a salon. And even as a 1 star, don't be scared to try that. Don't be scared to try entering this in a salon sometime if you can. I think you'd be surprised how well you do.
Master Bronze, Angles and Curves, Silver.
Yes, I can definitely see amazing curves and amazing angles here. I love the curves of the wings, the curves of the head, the curves of the bird. You've got that circle, and then you've got those angles. So you've certainly met the brief here. So well done. I think, unfortunately, the reason why you didn't get a higher mark was this. It took a while to be able to find your subjects here because I think this is from the stained glass window, and one can't help when you look at it that how much you would love to see it in color, because I would imagine that this image is outstanding in color with the subject matter. So be very wary when you convert mono that it's going to actually be better in mono rather than have the viewer wish that they see it in color. That is my only criticism, because as far as the brief goes and the set subject goes, you did meet the brief. So well done on that.
Master Bronze, Local Landscape, Silver.
Kathy, you're going to have to do this one, I'm afraid, because it's my image.
Well, you certainly met the brief with the curves. I mean, I don't know if you can all see this incredible S curve. You've got your rock on the right-hand corner, which is now anchored in the image, and you've got this beautiful curve that goes along and meets. I think that is the St. Mark's Hotel there. So what a lovely ad this would have for St. Mark's Hotel, because the eye goes straight into that. The angles, you've got the bridge, which is going in. You've got the repetition of the buildings in front. So super, well done. The only reason I can think why I didn't do any better is that the image does appear a little bit flat. And I feel that perhaps with a bit of levels or curves or something else, you could give it a little bit more pop, or perhaps you could have used your Dodge and Burn or your radial filter and try and get some more detail and make the buildings pop, because your S-curve that's leading to the buildings, you really, really want that now to stand out. And I think possibly with a little bit more oomph there, that could work. But I think this image in color is probably outstanding, and I'm sure Narissa would be interested in seeing this image. Well done.
Master Silver, Lines and Curves Mono, Bronze Award.
Yeah, the initial impact on this image is really quite striking, and what a lovely scene when you first look at it, with those mountains in the background and the tree, and it takes a bit of taking in, and the subject in the foreground. Also very interesting, a lot of different details and things. But unfortunately, it's one of those images that seems to have been thrown together with a lot of haste. And one can see the evidence of that in various areas. Initially, as I say, when you look at it, you're quite intrigued. But when you look at it closely, you see where it's been cloned, where parts of the image have been copied and where they've been pasted. And the first evidence of that is on the left-hand side, next to the subject's right elbow. You can see the two, I don't know if it's like a plant that's coming out of the sand over here. I don't know can you see the arrow on your screen? There. Yeah, and then the two fence posts, those two have been cloned. You can see the grass and the stones are the same. And then if you go across to the back right-hand side and you look at the mountain on the nearer section of mountain has been copied from the right-hand side and placed on the bottom on the right-hand side. And the same with the landscape in front. It's sort of been copied and pasted. And the plants are a repetition again. So unfortunately, that it just lets the image down. Again, we're not all experts at this, and it's something that's interesting to try. But unfortunately, if you don't take time, the end result is not going to be very pleasing. So unfortunately, that's why it's got a lower mark.
A 5-star abstract. This one was DQ'd for color.
If I can just comment, I'm so sorry about this image, but you could have a color tone that's also a mono, but this is black and white plus blue, because you can see there's a definite black in the background and white. So it's not shades of blue. So it actually is cast as a color image. So it was with such reluctance that we disqualified this image. You could re-enter it if you want to, because it's a lovely image. I find this would be fantastic in the contemporary or the artistic. I just love the curves. I love the lines. I love the detail. You could convert it to mono as well. I actually tried it and I converted it to mono, and it's really strong in mono. So this is a great image. You can resubmit it or try and do something with it, but we reluctantly disqualified this image, but we have to, because it had to be in mono, and this has got color in. I'm so sorry.
Julie Eisenbach, 2-star, Tranquility, Gold Award.
Well done, Julie. I actually scored this higher than that, but yeah, well done. Really, really interesting. Initially, that curve of that center piece of dead tree, that's the first thing that caught my eye. And then you've got the curve on the right. I like the reflections, and then those dark horizontal lines in the background just help to anchor this image and make it more interesting. And the eyes actually got a lot to look at in this image. And it's nice and sharp where it needs to be sharp. The exposure's handled well. So yeah, well done. As a 2-star, it's often quite daunting when you want to tackle something like this, but you've really done a great job. So well done. Keep up the good work.
Joan Darcy, 3-star, Anglican Cathedral in Kimberley, Gold Award.
Well done, Joan. I love this image. You certainly make the brief. The lines, the angles, it's just great. I love those. They're forming the most incredible lead in that goes to the altar. And then you've got the wonderful curves from the altar and then going on the side. You've got the curves of the roof, you've got the lines, you've got the angles. You've converted it really well to mono. You've done a great job here. The symmetry is what adds the most value to this image. You have positioned yourself very well to take it. Well done. You could try and enter the cinema salon in the mono section. Who knows? You might hit a lucky. So well done.
Five-star, High Curves, Silver.
A great effort with this image. Certainly has the curves and the lines. It's in mono. I like the conversion. I think it's been a great effort as far as handling the darks and the lighter shades there. You've got a nice mixture of them going across. The thing that I found extremely difficult with this image was the way that you've actually positioned it and the angle of it. It's quite unnatural, and although it has a lot of interest, it sort of feels very lopsided. I know that may just be my opinion, and I know you may have been wanting to portray that roof as per your title with the high curves. But I think if it was straightened up, it would actually be able to have achieved the gold. I may be wrong, but that's just my opinion. But a great effort nonetheless.
Sandy Reinders, 1-star, Mother Nature versus Man, Gold Award.
Oh, I absolutely love this image. It was definitely, I think, my favorite set subject of the night. Well done. Well done. I mean, the angles, the curves, you've got the sharp angles of this windmill. You've got the curves that are formed by it goes around. You've got angles of this. And then you've got this lovely, interesting background, and you've brought in this lightning and that. So, I mean, for a 1-star to play around like this, you've achieved some really nice detail here. It's interesting. You've placed it nicely on the third. It's a strong subject. You're really on the right track, Sandy, and I love this image. Well done.
That's the last one.